Who Dat Nation is global, so I want to know, where are you watching today's show from? I want to hear from you. Go down in the comment section. Let me know. Welcome into Saints Now. I am Will Scott. We're talking about some winners and losers after last night's game against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. The Saints now 0-2 in the NFL preseason after a 20-10 defeat. Yes, 0-2, not ideal, but it's preseason. Who cares? You'd rather lose games in the preseason than the regular season. We saw Ian Book going up against Jordan Love. Pretty similar stat line. I mean, both guys had 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Very interesting performance that we saw from the running backs as well. And speaking of running backs, let's talk about Tony Jones, because right now you can certainly make the argument that he is the leader to be RB3 on this team behind Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. Here's what he did last night against Green Bay. 4 carries, 19 yards. He actually had some receptions as well. 3 receptions for 20 yards. Had 2 tackles on special teams and then 2 kick returns for 53 yards. So we're really seeing the athlete that Tony Jones is, and I think his stock is way up. And I don't even think the stat line really tells the full story. Yeah, 4 carries for 19 yards. He also had 2 tackles. He had a couple receptions. He had some nice kick returns as well. Tony Jones is a very versatile player that can get involved in a lot of different ways on this team. I think he's going to be RB3. What do you think, though? Type Y for yes or type in for no. Will Tony Jones be the RB3 this season behind Kamara and Ingram? Let's talk about Trevor Penning now, because Penning has certainly been a interesting character in the Saints locker room. A couple different fights throughout training camp, but he's looked better in preseason games, looked a lot better in pass protection. We talked about that PFF grade. He looks like he's really honed in his aggression, was tossing dudes, finishing blocks, getting quality reps against a very solid Saints defensive line. I was pretty pleased with Penning's performance. I'm curious to see what the PFF grade was, because he had an 85 PFF grade last week against Houston, and he's competing right now with Hurst for that starting left tackle job. I still think Hurst is going to be the starting left tackle week 1, but Penning is the left tackle of the future on this football team. We know that. They took him in the first round for that reason. Penning, by the end of the season, will be starting on the Saints offensive line. Kirk Merritt, let's talk about him, because he's involved in this wide receiver competition. A lot of guys vying for spots on this roster, him being one of them. And a lot of times what it comes down to is your special teams value. He had a very nice 59-yard punt return yesterday. We knew the special teams value when he joined the Saints. Now, he muffed his second kick return. However, he still picked it up and returned it for 28 yards. Almost had a really nice diving catch along the sideline, too. So I really like Kirk Merritt. Again, the special teams value could get him a spot on this team. They're probably going to carry 6 to 7 wide receivers. And it's, again, it's a loaded wide receiver room. I definitely want to see more from Merritt next week in the Saints' final preseason game. He's definitely going to survive this next round of cuts, but he's on the roster bubble. When you're talking about the 53-man roster, I want to see more from him. Definitely on special teams as well, but definitely more so in the passing game. Hopefully he can get more involved. Now we got a sub battle going on right now. We're trying to take down Matthew Petey and Broncos Breakdown. We're fast approaching our Broncos channel here at Chat Sports. Help us catch him. We're about 600 subs shy. Go down, subscribe, hit that big red sub button if you're all about Who Dat Nation. Let's talk about John Bostic, one of the newest members of this Saints team. And member Trace, producer Trace, how high on that signing was I? I really like that signing.
Oh, I remember Will being very, very fond of the Bostic signing, because it really helped fill that need for the linebacker depth and allowed some of the linebackers to have some competition to compete for that roster spot.
I was very excited about that signing, as we discussed earlier on Saints Now, and now I'm even more excited about it, because he had 6 tackles, a pass breakup, and 1 fumble recovery. He was all over the football field last night at Lambeau. Really like what I saw from Bostic, and he's going to be involved on this football team. There's no question. When Kiko Alonso retired, there was definitely a hole at linebacker, and more depth was needed. Bostic is that guy that they needed. They went out and got him. He looked very, very good in his first game with the Saints. But who is the biggest winner from Saints against Packers? Go down in the comments section. Does not have to be one of the four guys that we just talked about. I'm curious to hear what you think. If you're asking my opinion, I think Bostic was the biggest winner from last night's game. Maybe the biggest loser, though, was Ian Book. And Ian Book, he just doesn't have the it factor, man. I watch him. He just does not pass the eye test. Against Houston, he was 15-22, 121 yards, touchdown, or an interception, I should say. Last night, he had 113 yards. So I was just not that impressed with what I saw from Ian Book last night. Not that impressed with what I saw from him in Houston either. But look, play KJ Costello against the Chargers in the last game. Why have we not seen KJ Costello? They signed him before the first preseason game in Houston. He did not play against Houston. He did not play against Green Bay. Play KJ Costello, because I have a hard time believing he's not worse than Ian Book is. Great Ian Book's performance. Type A, B, C, D, or F. Down in the comments section, go down, chime in. It's a C. I mean, every single time he plays football, it feels like it's a C-. I have not seen anything that special from Ian Book as a member of the New Orleans Saints. Lucas Krull, unfortunately another loser. And it pains me to put him down as a loser because I really, really like Lucas Krull. Mike Triplett said this: Saints UDFA, tight end Lucas Krull has shown glimpses this offseason. Looked like a touchdown might help his case, but his offensive pass interference flag hurts. Most likely a practice squad contender. I would agree with that take from Mike Triplett of ESPN, because when you look at this tight end room, they're not going to carry more than 4 tight ends. They might carry 4, but maybe just 3. I think they're going to carry 4, but you have Troutman, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson, Nick Vannett, and then after that, it's just it's very, very loaded. So it's going to be very tough for Lucas Krull to make this team, but we are pulling for you, Lucas Krull. We see the upside. We see the potential. I hope at the very least they find a way to keep this guy on the practice squad. I would bet on him being on the practice squad. I'm also going to bet on the Saints to beat the Chargers next week, and you can bet on all things Saints and all things NFL at BetUS. Go down, use promo code Dolphins, or I should say chat125 for a 125% deposit bonus. Chatsports.com/bet. You got to go to that link to get the deal. What does a 125% deposit bonus mean? It means if you put $100 in, you're going to get $125 free cash to bet with practically. And the Saints right now are the underdogs in the NFC South, plus 300. The Bucs are the favorite, but Tom Brady's nowhere to be found. Where's Tom Brady? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to play on the Bucs because he saw the Saints defense and he's scared of going up against the Honey Badger and all those guys. Go bet Saints plus 300. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Let's talk about another UDFA. That is Abram Smith. Much like Krull, he is in a loaded room at his position, trying to have a chance to make this team. Last night, 9 carries, 25 yards, 3 receptions for just 5 yards, so nothing crazy. And when you're a UDFA trying to make a football team, you got to put up pretty freaking good numbers in the preseason. That just did not happen last night. I want Smith to work out, but I need to see more out of him. He looked pretty solid in that first game against Houston. Not that amazing last night. Didn't look bad, but he just did not put up the numbers that you need to put up if you're trying to make this football team is the 4th or 5th maybe running back. Now, who are you most excited to watch versus the Chargers? It's going to be the final Saints preseason game, and then we can finally look forward to the regular season. But let me know, who are you most excited to watch next week against LA? Run defense, also a loser. Nothing really happening there last night. Here's what they did. 34 attempts, 178 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. That's what the Green Bay Packers did against the New Orleans Saints last night. Shout out Danny Etling, though, because Danny Etling is an LSU legend. I'm sure many Saints fans are big fans of Danny Etling. So that Etling rushing touchdown was brutal to give up, but at least it was Danny Etling, an LSU legend. Remember those signs at the LSU games back in the day? Danny Etling is a good quarterback. We saw that last night. So, yeah, not a great look for the Saints defense giving it up, but at least it was my guy, Danny Etling. Shout out to Blake Gillikin, by the way. 81-yard punt, fantastic punt. We saw Matt Araiza hit, I believe, an 80-yard punt as well. Blake Gillikin one-upping Matt Araiza with an 81-yard punt. Now, who is your biggest loser from Saints against Packers last night? Go down in the comments section. Let me know what you think.